there's a cost associated with that. We get some revenue, but there's a cost associated with that. But with Southwest, there's no cost to us when they're retrieved. It's only when they are not. And the way that the Southwest does it is they collect our impound fee. And so when there's a high rate of retrieval, our costs go down. When there's a lower rate of retrieval, then this whole equation would flip-flop. We're talking small amounts of money in this comparison, though. We're talking less than $5,000, $7,000 in terms of one way or the other, it being $1,000 or $2,000. Now, that's based on the current arrangement and data year-to-date for 2010. I would say that operationally, it's our preference to work with the local organization. It's closer. So there's some inherent savings there. We didn't cost out that piece. That's not 5-figure savings or even 4-figure savings, but it's just operationally it's better, and I think it's good to be able to support the local organization. That said, when you purely put on that sort of business budget hat, right now with the 90% success rate in terms of people getting their dogs out, which I think is wonderful, the analysis goes in that direction. On the licensing piece, and certainly that's something that could be discussed, right now that's one of the sources of revenue, maybe one of the primary sources of revenue to try to bring revenue back into the general fund to cover some of the costs of having the animal control program. So if we were to look at outsourcing the licensing function, the potential, I think the intent there would be to enhance revenue to the organization so that we can try to support the shelter in the community in a fee-for-service type of operation. Potentially has a negative impact on our general fund because we would be losing that revenue. We would have to reduce costs otherwise in our general fund. And that's just a very simplified, without much analysis, summary for you. And I have to say that we haven't done a significant analysis at all on the notion of outsourcing licensing, just very brief.
Thank you. The explanation is what I was actually looking for. Thank you.
Rod?
Mr. English, since my girlfriend works for West Columbia Gorge Humane Society, and this is not an entire budget now, budget document, should I abstain from voting on this particular?
Probably be advisable.
Okay.
And just a point of clarification, to not vote on this amendment, but you can vote on the budget as a
The
whole.
budget itself, but
Yeah,
not this
right.
amendment.
Probably shouldn't, you probably should actually, not more than abstain, you probably shouldn't take part in any discussion either.
Other comments, questions from council?
I just want to add, I thank you for that comparison, even though I haven't seen it as far as the dollar per dollar. I mean, does that also include the drive time for the officers to drive over to Vancouver? And also how much that takes out of their time and the gas as well? I mean, when you compare the two?
It's minimal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, like Dave said, it's less than a 4. It's probably less than $500 a year. We already patrol out to Freiburg Road, Strunk Road. We're within a mile and a half of the facility already.
Right.
You know, it's certainly not a case even with our own Humane Society itself where the animal control officers may impound a dog and take it immediately down there. They may be in the truck for 2 or 3 hours depending on what else they've got going. You know, I like to liken the holding facility we have down here in the kennels to the same holding facilities we have at the police department in the case of if we were going to Southwest. It's not uncommon for someone to be arrested and hang out for half a day or most of a day down here in our holding cells before we've got enough officers on to transport somebody to Vancouver. So it's not something where we necessarily just make that one-on-one run every time we've got one. So certainly work into schedules.
And, you know, and I think the overall, you know, look at this as well, and I haven't heard much discussion of this portion of it. I would like to know what are other cities doing in relationship to their humane societies, and how is the Humane Society more incorporated in the animal control functions? You know, this idea of a completely privately run humane society, you know, while I like the idea, is very new to me, because I have always been raised around, have always known that the counties and cities all participate in conjunction with the humane societies, because it is a service, they look at it as an extension of their animal control departments. So it's kind of this whole conversation is really new in a lot of ways for me. I think what really, you know, attracts me to ours here is the fact that it is a no-kill shelter. I think that in itself is gives a different flavor to what it is we're doing. I unfortunately haven't been as involved with the Humane Society as I wish I could have in the past couple of years. But, you know, I think that the Humane Society could do even more with marketing that aspect of things, because that is something that is not done very often. And it's such a rarity. And so, anyway, I'm kind of going off, but it's definitely of great value, I think, to have those no-kill shelters. So.
Other items from council? Paul?
I just wanted to mention for you, John, that there's a article in the Association of Washington Cities 2 or 3 emails ago. Basically, there's in the South Sound, a couple of counties and a couple of municipalities, their animal control costs are spiraling out of sight. And I frankly didn't read the article, but it is a major issue throughout the state.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any of the other cities in Clark County that contribute to the Humane Societies, but
Maybe it's a Midwestern, East Coast thing, I don't know.
In Clark County, you know, the county has the animal control program. I know at least, I only know about the city of Vancouver, has an interlocal agreement with Clark County to provide animal control services in the city of Vancouver. And then they have a relationship through Clark County with the Southwest Washington Humane Society, where I got into that a little bit in some previous comments. They keep the impound fee that's codified in the different communities' ordinances. One thing I just wanted to point out, it's just a point of information. The net result of the motion to amend would be, in terms of the bottom line of the budget, would be for the general and street budgets to move from 819 surplus to a 7,681, if I did my math correctly, negative or deficit spending. So there would be potentially
But you're not counting the police contract we just passed, though.
It doesn't, right. We have not proposed any change to the budget around the 32,000 yet.
Okay.
So that's out there. But for tonight, it would just be an acknowledgement that there's, and I don't think you have to do anything in your motion or anything. It's just, I want to make sure it's clear that there'd be going into reserve 7681.
That's correct.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, Nicole.
I rise reluctantly against the motion. Simple reason is